And, you know, 5 or 6 years ago I was talking with people, well, we're going to go from the cell phone, which used to be a big brick, to the thing on, you know, I carry mine here on my belt, but other people got it stuck in their ear. Well, there's no reason, again, foreseeably, that that could be a chip, you know, planted in your head, and eventually that will read your brain waves, so that you're not going to have to do any, you're not going to even have voice recognition. You're going to have the, you know, call Steve thought, and bingo. Now, are there problems with that? Do we want to have some machine broadcasting all of our thoughts? Probably not. That'll have to be sorted out. But it's, again, if not doable, certainly not practical right now, but all knowable. And that's the kind of thing we refer to when we use the phrase the knowable future. It's all in the pipeline, folks.
And the question I think that you raise most importantly are, what are the consequences?
Well, okay, so once we finally get our hands around, or our heads around, this idea that this is really going to happen, then the most important part of all that is, oh my goodness, now what do we do? And the first thing people think of, well, what's going to happen to Social Security? Obviously, Social Security is not designed to pay people anything for 50 or 60 years. Frankly, there are no pension plans, no defined benefit pension plans that are set up for that kind of practicality. Life insurance is already changing. 10 years ago, a person 65 basically couldn't buy life insurance. If they could, it would cost them a fortune. Now, they practically give it away. Because again, if you pass the tests and so on and so forth, it's a 15-year policy. It isn't forever.
Right.
It's a 15-year policy, but you can get $1 million worth of life insurance at age 65 if you're in reasonably good health for a relatively small amount of money. Whereas I say, 10 years ago, you basically couldn't get it at all. Well, those guys aren't doing that because they want to help people. They're doing it because they're going to make a buck. If you run the numbers, it means that roughly they have to have 15 people survive for every one that they pay off.
So this means that 15 people are living more than 85.
Yes, more than 80.
80.
And as I say, they're not gamblers, and they certainly aren't doing anybody any favors. So the obverse of that is that there's no pension plan that's going to be able to pay you forever. And whoops. And indeed, even if you've got your own money, you know, you've got your 401k, and you've arrived at the point in time where you decide, I'm going to retire. And indeed, right now, with your 401k, you are required to start paying it out at a certain rate at age 72 and a half. Well, hey, wait a minute, folks. That's going to run out before I'm 100. Because again, who's expecting you to live to 100? Then there's health care, because certainly, even though we're going to be making all these dramatic advances in health care, we're also going to be having to pay for them. It ain't cheap. Just the diagnostic stuff, the MRIs and the CAT scans and so on and so forth. If we get into more and more nuclear kinds of related diagnostic, that's all expensive stuff. Who's going to pay for all of that? And trust me, once it's available, it is very difficult to ration it. You know, when we started out with the kidney dialysis, it was rationed. It was you had to be a certain age and a certain expectancy, and well, now, man, everybody gets it. And we got 80-year-old people on kidney dialysis. Now it's gotten cheaper, but it still ain't cheap, etc., etc., etc. You know, one of the reasons why deaths from cancer have gone up is that we're not dying of something else sooner. You know, it used to be, you know, say, oh boy, people didn't die of cancer. Yes, they were dead from typhus or cholera or something, and prostate cancer just never got around to it. Well, the longer I live, the more the likelihood is that I'm going to develop prostate cancer. On and on and on. The social implications. You're living in your house longer. What's the turnover? Used to be that you turn over in so many years. Well, now you're not. And these are just the beginnings of things. And you know, here at the Center for Creating the Future, we think we've thought of a lot of this stuff. I will tell you, just casting around, we've thought of more stuff than most people have, but we haven't done much more than scratch the surface of the implications of all this stuff. Please let us know. You know, write us a letter if, if you're so inclined. Email us, you know, jack@creatingthefuture.org. We want to hear your thoughts. Hopefully we'll be able to absorb all of them. I have a hunch we may not. I have a hunch there is more stuff out there than even we are capable of wrestling with. But that's okay. You know, we got to get it down somewhere. We'll have it down someplace. Because I can tell you that people will be wrestling with this in larger numbers in the near future. 5 years ago when I started talking about this, basically nobody was talking about it. You know, now there's a guy at Stanford who's talking about the retirement age is 85. We got another guy saying people are going to live much longer. It's now becoming respectable to believe this. So help us out. Let us know what your thoughts are and help us expand this work.